On, guys. Why is it a little? Does it look I can't good or not so good? Welcome back to another live stream. I'm actually live streaming from my phone today because we have a laptop for a couple of different reasons. I'm actually opening YouTube on the other phone in the house so I can see what's going on. Hopefully the everything is good. Let me know if it is. Can I? Guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. Just want to run through a couple updates, I guess. What updates do we have? Do we have any updates? This tomorrow, actually, we're getting our first shipment of the year, so a bunch of plants will be restocked. If you've been looking to pick up plants and things have been out of stock for the last like 2.5, 3 weeks, that's because we got our last shipment in the very first half of December. So we won't be getting, we didn't get any other plants in since then, and we'll be getting plants in, like I said, tomorrow. So a lot of plants that were out of stock will be back in stock. What else? Anything else? I think that's probably about it. What I'm doing to the for the website, I guess it affects the channel as well. I'm gonna be doing probably in-depth videos on almost, I would say, every single plant, but some plants I'm gonna combine, like dwarf sedge. I'm probably gonna do with broadleaf sedge and narrowleaf sedge, just because there's only like those three. So I'm probably gonna do a video that encompasses all of them in one video. And what I'm doing is I'm actually adding them to the website. So when you click on a plant, if I've done a video on it, you'll be able to see the video talking about that plant, so you'll know more about it. I feel like doing that. We did it with the Uruguayasis sword this past weekend. If you didn't see that video, I recommend to go back and check that out. But yeah, so you'll be seeing more plant. Let me just lower the volume here. You'll be seeing more plant videos, specifically about aquarium plants in that style. You'll also probably be seeing, I have some ideas to do the substrate video that I've been wanting to do, the lighting video that I've been wanting to do, and a couple other videos as well. So I'll go into the chat now, see what you guys are saying, and yeah. So what's going on, Kevin? How's it going? I'm going to be setting up a 75-gallon blackwater tank. Can I soak Malaysian driftwood in water, change water from my 20? Would this help with the cycle? Well, I don't know why you would soak the driftwood. Like, are you saying soak it outside of the 75-gallon, or are you putting it in the 75-gallon to soak? Just Keith, how's it going? Cycling a tank with fish food, how much and for how long? Jesus, pretty much just put like a pinch of fish food in every day. I mean, depending on the size. If you're like, I'm a 150-gallon tank, you may be adding a little bit more than just a pinch. But if you have anything, say, under 55 gallons, you can probably just add a pinch of food every day and do that until you notice that your ammonia cycle starts to work. So you'll see ammonia go up, and then you'll see that start to drop a little bit, and you'll see nitrate go up, which is the one with the I, and then you'll see that start to go down, and then you'll see nitrate go up. And once you see nitrate go up, and the other one's kind of at a lower level, then you know that the cycle has like pretty much all gone through its cycle, and that you're ready to go. But you want to wait till ammonia is at 0. So do what you got to do. Also toss in plants and stuff so you can get that cycled faster. Okay, I wanted to start a aquascape. One thing that eludes me is the CO2 system. I was wondering what CO2 regulator / tank system do you suggest? Love your channel. Keep on, keep on. Well, thank you very much, Bernard. So if you're, well, one thing, let me preface it by saying you don't need to do CO2 if it's something that you're worried about or you're not sure about, unless you're trying to keep difficult, demanding plants, or you're trying to do like, well, would kind of be the same thing, but a difficult, demanding carpeting plant. You wouldn't have to use CO2. Now, if you want to use CO2 to maybe get regular plants to grow faster, that's completely fine, and you can do that. So as far as a regulator / tank system, I did a, can you go, please? Thank you. do a CO2. I actually went into depth in a separate video that actually kind of doesn't have anything to do with CO2, but it was in my gift ideas for aquarium hobbyists. If you go back, it was posted in the beginning of December on the channel. Just look up gift ideas in like the search function, and you can find. Oh, there's the little troublemaker. You can find it, and that was the video I went into depth with all the different parts that you need, and I recommend checking that out. So I recommend the regulator, all the miscellaneous pieces that you need. Come here, mommy. And Baby Nova wants to join. Hey, Baby Nova. Yeah. Um, and yeah, so boop. Yeah, you see yourself. Your hair is wild. Okay, she doesn't like that. Yeah. Say hi. No. And yeah, so check out that video. I go into depth on what you need exactly. I definitely recommend it. I will be doing a separate video, pretty much all the same info though, but the video that I did on the aquarium gifts doesn't really target the people that are looking up CO2. Yeah, so the ones with that will be much easier. Okay, hi, yes. Wow, you want to get down? What's up, Fred? Is a simple LED light for a 50-gallon tank enough to grow Busophilandrid? What's that? You say no? You could get it to grow. Is it going to be colorful and grow quickly and whatever else? Probably not. When you say cheap or simple, okay, what? Busophilandrid doesn't need a whole lot of light, so it's an easy plant to grow. But I do. What? Can I talk? Or are you just going to interrupt? Ah! Okay, what are you doing? What? Of yourself? You want to make sure you're fully in frame? The I mean, it could work. 50-gallon tank though is really tall, so the lighting you'll get better results if you spend a little money and get a decent LED. But you may be okay. I'm with Bernard setting up a Nano Aquascape and need a cheaper CO2 system. Well, Frederick, like I mentioned earlier, I did do a full video, a video detailing that. So I would recommend go back and check out that video. It would be a separate tote until I set up the 75-gallon, yet at most. What? Yeah, so I would recommend. I mean, it's not really going to help cycle the tank any faster, but it'll definitely get the wood to drop quicker. What are you doing? What, you want to get down? I'll put you down if you want to get down. You want to get down? You want to get down? Okay. Nope. No. No. Mommy, no. Oh my God, she's attacking the tripod. What? Or do you want to just crawl around? Make up your mind. Look, you're in the video, you see? She loves like getting her picture taken. She's such a vain baby. A quick question. Do you carry any Savinia arculata floating plants? I've never heard of that particular species. Or maybe I'm confusing it. But we do have Savinia minima coming in, and sometimes I get some other rarer species, but mine all died this past fall. So we'll be hopefully getting some more in the spring. Oh, oh. What are background plants with good root systems, particularly low tech? Depends on the size of the tank, Dominator. If you're going for like I'm gonna say like somewhere in like a 20-gallon tank or bigger. The Uruguaysa sword that I did is a really good background plant. Really just big, beautiful leaves. I did a video this past Sunday if you missed it. But also Jungle Val. What? Jungle Val could be a good one. What do you want? You want to stand? Okay. A good one. You could do some of the, what? You want me to pay attention to you? You could do some crypts that are also bigger, like costada. Ow, your nails. Costadas or balances are also pretty big. You could also do some stem plants like bacopa. Hygro Blue, Ludwigia, they're all pretty good. What? My beard. What are you doing? What are you doing? No. I don't know with you. What's wrong? Ow. Ow. It would be fun, they said, right? Where's your muscles? Where's your muscles? Show them your muscles. Yeah, there they are. Where's your muscles? Yeah. Oh, hi. There you go. Those are like the only words. Ow. Only words she knows yet. Ah. 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 No, I don't know where your hands have been. You've been crawling on the floor. What am I doing? They're dirty. They got germs. Germs. All right. Ah, are you done? Okay, okay. Obviously, this is a live stream with a special guest at this point. Ow, 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 ow. Ah. Yeah, you just don't care. You don't care that Daddy's trying to work. Okay, can Daddy work? Okay, all right. I guess no working. Okay, let's see. Can you help me answer the question? What's your favorite moss? I actually like Physidens nobilis. And we're actually getting more of it in. That's my ear. Okay then. Ow. They're sharp. Ow. Stop trying to go in my ear. Something that's not quite that dangerous to play with. Yeah, but this is not going to work out. she is just all over. Margaret's busy with the other kids at the moment. So Physidens nobilis is a good particular moss that I like. Yeah, you just don't want me talking. Okay. Ow. Okay, the dog. Yeah, the doggy's here. Oh, okay. Thanks, my dude. Another thing, if you don't mind, where do you get reasonably priced rimless tanks for aquascapes? And lastly, for carpeting plants, do you grab little stems and plant them all around? All right. So as far as reasonably priced rimless tanks, I wouldn't say so we have an ability to drop ship through a company called UNS. They Ultimate Nature Systems. They make rimless tanks that are equivalent to like ADA. So they're not like in the budget friendly realm, but they are nice. I've used them in the last couple of videos that we've done on aquariums. If you want to go check those out, I showcase each some of the cube tanks and the long tanks and all that. I wish I had a pacifier for you. You know what? Maybe this will keep you busy. Hold on. Yeah, so we have the ability to drop ship these UNS tanks that are rimless. They're pretty good. I use them. I have 6 of them here and a couple more downstairs that are really nice. Like I said, they're not like super budget friendly, but then again, they're not that expensive when compared to some of the bigger competitors either. So if you're interested in any of those tanks, we do have the option to drop ship, but I don't have them listed on the website, so it's something you have to either email or message me about, and I can send you the price list, get you an idea for what shipping's going to cost to you for whatever tank that you're going for, and she's going to get into a bunch of stuff that she should not be getting into right now. Yeah, go from there, pretty much. As far as carpeting plants, you usually get, when you want to do carpeting, I do recommend get several plants, just get one and expect it to kind of like do its thing, because What happens is carpeting plants, if you only have one, you're just sticking it in one like mass usually, and that takes a while to branch out. But if you get several, you plant them all around, and then you can get them to kind of all fill in at one time with each other. So think of it like nodes or hair follicles almost. You want to like plant them around and create the carpet with the plants, and plant heavy when it comes to carpeting plants. Like plant a lot of them and really fill in the space. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. Matthew, what's up? What's going on? Can regular plotting soil be used as substrate in a planted tank? Samuel, yes, it can be. I don't recommend it because there's better products out there that are used. Like we sell Contra soil. It's by far one of the better ones to use. But any of the aqua soils are really good ones. She's leaving now. I think she's very upset with me. Patience and handling the live stream with your daughter, but like, where's your wife? She's busy. We actually have Hector's cousin over because his brother issues, so we're keeping his cousin for a couple days. So she's busy with them with their homework. Typically, we don't have Hector on a Wednesday. He's at his dad's normally. So yeah. So right now I'm trying to help out with the baby, and she is doing whatever. That's yes. I just want to make sure. Is there a carpeting plant that does not demand CO2 or great lighting? My Nano 3 gallon and only 8 inches tall with a small LED a few inches above the rim. I definitely recommend dwarf four-leaf clover or Monte Carlo. Those are two easy ones. Monte Carlo will grow a bit slower without CO2, but should be fine. We're from the same state, bro. Oh, nice. Herculano? What's going on? Spoiled kids be like that. Yeah, right. I ordered plants from you like 2 weeks ago, and they were awesome and great condition. Thank you and love your vids. Thank you, Dominator. Appreciate it. You're welcome, Frederick. And Fisher says fastest growing carpeting plant. Well, I don't really know which one particularly is like the fastest with stats. Here she comes. She's back. You're back. But Monte Carlo definitely grows really quickly. Also, dwarf four-leaf clover. I tend to harp on those because they are usually the easiest for people to grow. They're extremely fast and they carpet out very well because, like, dwarf sage is a good one. But the problem with dwarf sage is, say you buy a pot of dwarf sage, typically there's like 3 plants in it. Three to 5. Usually about 3. Come here. Usually about 3. And what? Smile, smile, smile. You're on camera. Yeah. No. Uh, so the carpeting plants, like dwarf sage, there's a center plant that you plant. It's like a plug, and then you have to wait for it to send out runners, right? Where Monte Carlo and four-leaf clover, they produce. Monte Carlo is a stem plant, so it produces a horizontal stem that you could cut at any point and get another plant out of it. And four-leaf clover is very similar. It has a horizontal rhizome that, as each leaf comes up, you can cut that and make that into its own separate node and propagate that elsewhere. So you get a lot more out of it more quickly. Yeah. I should have would have got more clicks. Yeah, that's right. Daddy's gonna use you. Daddy's gonna use you for clickbait. Baby's got into my aquarium room. What are we doing? Being infested with algae, what do I do? Well, first you gotta identify what algae is going on in the aquarium, and when you narrow down that, you research the causes. But typically, it's too much light, too much or too little CO2, or not enough flow, or too much flow. So that's typically the causes of algae in the aquarium, or lighting cycle being off. So sometimes people have their aquarium light on for 12 hours. That's no good. Sometimes they have their aquarium light on their blue setting for like 6 hours. That's no good. Sometimes they have the aquarium in the direct sunlight. Sometimes that can be no good. It all depends on the specific aquarium and the conditions. What are you doing? Oh no, you're gonna fall. Ah, Peppa. Ah. Oh.
I wrote the teacher a letter because I don't understand this stupid new math breakdown. And I
She's like, ba, 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 ba,
told
ba.
her I'm old school and we just carry the one when we add, and not this whole breakdown into tens and twenties and fives and threes, and I'm fucking confused.
Thank you. Math when I'm done.
No, he's having a hard time understanding. He could only do it when it's like two numbers, not in the hundreds. So I was like, he showed me the breakdown, and I'm like, okay, I still don't understand your freaking breakdown, you know. And I was like, if you could do that, why can you do the hundreds? He goes, I don't know. And I'm like, why can you do it the old school way? The teacher doesn't want it that way. Why not? If you still get the same answer doing it the old school and you don't want to show two different ways, what is the difference?
I don't know, these teachers and their new
I wrote her a letter.
fangled
I said, you can
ideas.
suck it because I don't understand.
Okay then. Put together. All right. let's get back to some of the questions. So yeah, about the algae though, you got to really narrow down what kind it is, then do some research, figure out what's causing it, and then you start treating, accordingly. So usually treating involves one, manually remove as much as you possibly can. So if you see, like if you have hair algae, like green hair algae, take a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, and twirl it up like spaghetti or a fork. Either a fork or a toothbrush can work, and you'll get a lot of it out that way. That's a good way to kind of stop it from spreading as fast as it is. You correct the situation of what's causing it. So if it's too much light, maybe you don't have a timer, maybe your CO2 ran out. These are all things that are possible to happen to cause algae, or you have too much flow or too little flow. You make the adjustment, and then you kind of have to wait and see what happens. The algae will probably come back. At that point, you could try a chemical solution to destroy the algae, like AlgaFix or Excel. But if you have like shrimp, it may not be an option. Same thing with like special snails. Some of those things may not be an option. So you may have to figure out other ways around it, such as kind of just waiting it out, keep removing it as you see it, and just adding more plants if you don't have a lot. The more plants you have, also, the less algae you typically get, the more plant matter that you have. Do you normally have a light on for your plants to thrive, but not blow the tank with algae? Typically 6 to 8 hours is all that I recommend. We run the majority of our lights at 6 hours. I'm plant two, by the way, but thanks. I don't know what that meant, but all right, Fisher. Well, Ludwigia, Rotalas, those are equally fast. High grows, those are all fast stems. You don't really start getting into slower growing stems until you until you like get into more difficult growing stems. That may take a while. I sent out 4 runners in its first week. Now it's stopped and more focused on growing new leaves. I don't know what they're called. Oh well, yeah. So the runners are just new plants, and yeah. So once the plant kind of propagates out, it may slow down its growth and put out new things. What you could do, if each dwarf sedge has 3 leaves on it, you could actually snip the umbilical cord that kind of runs between the two plants, and then that will encourage each plant to send out its own runner. So that's one way that you can get around dwarf sedge as a carpet to make it kind of go a little bit quicker. But yeah, I appreciate it. What's up, Caden? You need a lit up neon sign that says live streaming. I just need a whole separate thing to live stream in. But hey, we haven't gotten to that point yet. Maybe one day. But also, I enjoyed being able to do it from my home because the best thing about it is, one, she gets to come around this and it's fun. As much as it can be annoying sometimes when you're trying to do things, I do appreciate it and love it. But also, it's good to be home. Like after I get done live streaming, I can go hang out with the fam and go take care of other stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of like an internal battle of do I want to, uh, expand this into its own separate thing? Because I pretty much maxed out our fish room, our basement. I can't do much more. Can't do really much more in this room either. And so it's either I just kind of stay where we're at and just maximize what we're doing based on the room that we have, or I take the next step, which is going to be a lot of work, and with the possible risk of it not working out, and getting all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. 22. I kind of like. I do like the option of that. It's all in the house, and if one day I decide I don't want to do this anymore, or maybe it's not doing well and not making money and that kind of stuff, I could just be like, okay, I didn't really lose much other than the money that I spent on the equipment, and we pretty much made that back, so we're covered on all of our expenses now. So now just chilling out. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what 2019 brings. Right now, my plan for 2019 is just kind of grind it out, um, see what we have, and evaluate at the beginning of 2020 and see. You know what? Maybe it's worth getting a facility. We'll see. This year, I don't have any plans of doing anything different. So, well, creation like sponge filtering or hanging a HMF. I don't know what HMF stands for. Have a huge effect on CO2. So there's a lot of speculation on this, and kind of what I've gathered from the experts. And keep in mind, I haven't done testing. I don't know, but based on people that know a lot more about it than I do, there is two saturation levels of stuff in the water. So you have oxygen and CO2. They gas off each other. So the thing is, though, the water can be more concentrated with CO2, and that becomes toxic. It becomes carbonic acid, or just drowns out, like it makes it so there's not enough um, water for the fish to breathe, and that's why a lot of people gas their fish because they have their CO2 up so high. But from what I gathered, having a sponge filter running with a bubbler doesn't affect your CO2 because the CO2 and the oxygen are kind of separate, but they're in the same thing. So I don't know else how to put it, but they don't react with each other essentially. Because, like, think of it this way: CO2 that's in the atmosphere, right? When you have surface agitation and you have a deficiency in CO2 in your water, CO2 actually gradually, what's the word for it? There's a word for it, and I can't think of it. Um, but that happens between the atmosphere and the air. So when there's lack of CO2 in the water, if there's CO2 in the air, it gets absorbed into the water naturally. So when you're flowing, you're creating more surface agitation, allowing more surface exchange to happen between the gases in the air and the water. And so it doesn't really affect it all that much. Yeah, is the word I'm looking for. I don't know. I can't think. But yeah, so there's really, as far as I've heard and as far as people have told me, there's really no benefit or no downside to running a bubbler with CO2. We do. I actually stopped running CO2 in this whole room. There, a couple of tanks really need some maintenance, though, like two of the tanks. But the holidays hit. You know how the holidays are. I bet a bunch of your tanks were probably neglected, all December, most of December. So over 12 hours a day, it's a bad idea. Yep, that is a bad idea. 6 hours or bust, bro. 6 hours or bust. And seriously neglected for Thanksgiving for me because we we did this year in the holidays. We hosted a holiday get together, like a friendsgiving for picture and audio quality is horrible. I'm off my phone. That's why I'm not on my typical laptop. The kids needed it to do homework. This thing, so I don't know if the mic is picking this up or not. Uh, yeah, we hosted a friendsgiving at the end of Thanksgiving. So we went. Where did we go for Thanksgiving? Did we do anything for Thanksgiving? I forget. I think I think where did we go? for Thanksgiving. I don't remember why. Then we had a Friendsgiving the week after. Then it was my birthday. Then we did a Secret Santa the weekend before Christmas. Then we went out to my sister's house for Christmas. Then we went out for a New Year's Eve party. And now we're finally home. And we've had Hector's cousin here for like 2 weeks. So working, it sounds solid. I could actually shut that off. Let me see. Okay. I turned Bluetooth off. Maybe that sounds better. You guys let me know. Cool. Hope 2019 will be great for us all. Will you be showing any more household plants? I really liked your videos. Yeah, Monica, I actually plan to kind of go through all of them at some point. I'm going to try. What I don't want to do is saturate it too much with houseplants, so I'm going to sprinkle them throughout the aquarium video. So I might do like 2 aquarium videos, then do a houseplant video, then do like 2 more aquarium videos, then a houseplant video. Just so, you know, the channel was built around aquariums, and I know that that's the key demographic. But I do know like houseplants are like kind of, you know, switchable. So I wanna do that, but I want to do it in a. I just don't want to do only houseplants, because then people will be like, where's all the aquarium stuff? So I still have tons of ideas for aquarium videos, and I think that'll work out. Let me know if the audio is any better too. Sometimes when I go to ponds and stuff, I see huge plants in the wild. It's crazy how big they are. Must have taken a long time for them to grow 20 plus feet. Yeah. Oh, so the Bluetooth was spotty? My bad. I thought it would have been better. Go figure. Yeah, so the plants just lower in the volume. Maybe if I move a little bit closer, or I just speak up a little bit louder. I like how it's like I gotta. Oh. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So I got a couple more questions. But as far as them growing big in the wild, yeah. Well, you got to think about it. They're pretty much unrestricted from light, assuming that they're in a lit up area. So they have tons of light coming down. They got good nutrients typically. I mean, most areas where you find vegetation, the soil is good. It's rich. It has a lot of nutrients, especially if you're talking about like ponds. You got fish in the pond. Fish are pooping. They're creating a lot of waste. Plants are utilizing that and cleaning the pond water as well as growing. And not to mention, they have all the CO2 they need. Once they breach the surface of the water, forget about it. They have all the CO2 that they need. Most plants that we grow in the aquarium hobby, I mean, there's a couple that are strictly aquatic, but most of them are marginal plants. So that means they have both a submersed and an immersed form. So they really, but typically their form is immersed. They like to be above the water. They're utilizing all the stuff. They just have the ability to go submersed if they need to. So it's an adaptation essentially that's given them an advantage in the wild. But most of the aquatic plants that we have are specialized to be grown above the water, just in very humid environments. How do you go about getting plants to grow above the water line and not drying out? Well, that's kind of a follow-up. So when you have a plant and you plant it in your aquarium and you want it to grow up out of the water, it's kind of like you just kind of have to let it be and do its thing until it breaches the surface. Sometimes you'll get like stem plants that'll grow up, they'll reach the surface, and then they don't want to grow up and they'll kind of just fold over, and eventually they'll get to a point where they can't grow anymore sideways, and then they'll just start growing up out of the water, and then you'll get, you know, immersed growth. So it sometimes can take a while. Then you get sword plants. Sometimes sword plants will just keep putting up bigger and bigger leaves till they reach the surface, and then all of a sudden you'll see one that they produce a leaf that goes all the way up and breaches the surface of the water. Once a plant breaches the surface of the water, though, it tells the rest of the plant to do the same thing. So usually, if you have a sword plant or a crypt or a stem plant that does that, you're going to notice all the rest of the growth of the plant is just going to start kind of emerging from the water. But keeping it alive is the hard part. Like he said, how do you get it to not dry out? So a couple ways is one, obviously mist it. if you have a little spray bottle, mist it every day if you can. Obviously, that, I mean, if you have multiple aquariums, that may not be a an option. If you have a tank with a bubbler, that'll help, because the bubbles, as a tank has a bubbler, it's creating surface agitation like we were talking about before, except it's allowing water to evaporate. So you're creating a microclimate around that plant. So if you have a bubbler running 24/7, you have a lot of bubbles, you have a lot of air being mixed into the aquarium, allowing water to kind of air off, you know, create humidity and or humidify the air, and then you create a nice little microclimate. So, and then any other ways that I could think of. Another one is like your light on your aquarium. It can't be directly over the plant, because that's another thing. Like, the light will dry out the plant if you have a light too closely, or if it's an intense light. So you really want to kind of make sure your light is raised up high on your aquarium, so that way it's not drying out the plant also. Oh, look who's back.
Nova, come over here.
Guess who's back? Back again. Mommy, I got fruit snacks, Mommy. Where's my fruit snacks? She's going back. Maybe not.
Nova.
Mulmy water works great for houseplants. That it does. Your aquarium water is perfect for houseplants. It's so good for them. It's not even funny. I wish I had a better way to do it, though, because we do water changes down at the basement using the Python, and it's just like so much of that water can be used, but we don't use it because it's too tricky to do so. Do dirt tanks eventually lead to algae if disturbed? That really depends. I haven't had too much experience with dirt tanks, just because, like I mentioned earlier, there's better products on the market as substrates. But they could. All substrates could. It really depends on what your maintenance schedule is and how many plants you have. If you have a lot of plants that are absorbing the stuff that gets trapped in your substrate, then you're good. If you don't have a lot of plants and you have a lot of open area and you maybe sparsely planted it, then it's possible. How long do plants live for? Well, that really depends on the plant. Some plants can live in excess of 20, 30, 40 years, maybe longer. Other plants have a very short life cycle. It really depends on what they do. Like, there's a plant called the sensitive plant. It's also called something mimosa. It's the plant where you touch it and its leaves curl up. It's actually an annual plant, so it grows, right? Yeah, annual. So it grows, it produces flowers, flowers produce seeds, the plant dies back, you plant the seeds, continues to grow, and that's the life cycle of it. It doesn't last more than a year. Aquarium plants can last many years, assuming that you give them everything they need. Decent light, keep the water parameters good for them, dosing fertilizer, giving them food. That's all the stuff, all the things they need. But it would be interesting to see how long some of these aquarium plants last. Like, I got the bucephalandrid over there that's, grown pretty well. It hasn't died back really. The paludarium's doing really well. I actually have to get in there and do a little trimming on it, but it's doing really well. So, but yeah, plants, they'll keep going. And the good thing about aquarium plants too is that, for the most part, all are propagatable. Propagatable, is that a word? You can propagate them. So you make clones of them, and then even if the mother one dies or the original dies, you still have clones or copies or, babies of it, and that continues that lineage growing. So that's how most plants, survive, is that they have the lineage. They may eventually die, but they have a lot of offspring. So. What's your favorite fish? That's an interesting question, considering I only have a couple fish. Oh, sorry. I really like the CPDs that I have. They're a nice little fish, nice little community fish. They could be skittish and scared sometimes, so I actually want to get more of them for the 75. But I also really like the shell dwellers that I have as well. It's a toss-up between those two, I'd say. What's up, Batman Girl from Pakistan? How's it going? This guy, long time. What up, Brad? How's it going? Let's see. Darren says, any advice on keeping mini Pelia coral moss? Actually, that one's kind of tricky. I've had it a couple times, and it never really does too well for me. But I do think it's more of a high CO2 moss, or it's kind of more of a liverwort than a moss, I think. So just a lot of light, a lot of CO2, I think would be good for it.
No, stay away from the dog.
I realize that fluval stratum will lower pH and eventually affect that effect will diminish. If recommended to switch out the old fluval stratum if it's heavily planted. Oh, is recommended to switch. No, I wouldn't ever switch out a substrate if you could avoid it. One, you're going to cause a bacteria or an algae bloom, because when you remove the substrate, that has all your good bacteria in it. Like, your filter has bacteria in it, but your substrate also has bacteria in it. Plant roots also encourage a good microbiome inside of the substrate. So when you remove it all and replace it with something else, it's starting that all over again. And not to mention, your water chemistry is going to be off, because it was used to one thing, now it's used to a different, because different substrate brings in different things. You can add to it, that's always an option, or you can little by little remove parts of it. So I wouldn't remove the whole thing at once. I would say do a row, kind of like divide the tank into sections. Let's say, okay, I'm just going to do like an eighth of the tank right now. I'm going to remove a bunch, I'm going to add in fresh. And then, maybe wait like a month or a couple weeks and do like the next row. Remove that row, add in new, and so on and so forth. But I wouldn't remove all of it at one time. If you absolutely want to, you could. Don't let me stop you. But if it was me, I definitely wouldn't.
Nova.
Do you think that the DIY CO2 citric acid kits are worthwhile source of CO2 for nano tanks? Personally, no. A lot of people disagree with me. They say, oh, I run DIY CO2 and it works great, all this stuff. Yes, it does work. You do get results. You get better results from an actual CO2 system. Yes, it's more money, but in the long run, it's going to save you more money, because filling up a CO2 canister is a lot cheaper. Here's the thing, too. If your CO2 goes out, which actually happened downstairs, and the 75 gallons, it covered in blackbeard algae, it's actually going to be a future video that I'm going to do on. But my CO2 kicked out for like 2 or 3 days. I didn't notice it. I went and I actually switched out for the tank that was up here, because all these tanks I stopped using CO2 on. And that tank is covered in blackbeard algae now. And it's all because of that CO2. And what happened is, because that CO2 fell out for a couple days, that algae had a chance to flourish, and now it's just everywhere. So now I'm treating it for the algae to hopefully get rid of it. But that's why I like the canisters, because you don't have that the fluctuations of the levels so much where you do with the DIY. Which is the toughest fish you ever had? Actually, a cherry barb, believe it or not. Cherry barbs are freaking beastly fish. Been super busy. You still doing your monthly boxes? No, Brad, we actually got rid of the monthly boxes. There wasn't, it was like a catch-22. We weren't having enough people buy them, and we weren't making a ton of money off of them. I think I made like 50 cents to like $1 per box, so it really wasn't worth it. We made more money just by people ordering regular plants, and it saved us a whole lot of stress. So when you have a lot of stress, not making a lot of money, and not a whole lot of demand, it just didn't equal out. So we stopped doing the monthly boxes. But we do have mystery boxes up on the website. If you just want to order, we'll ship you out, some random stuff that maybe you are unfamiliar with. And we also can do custom orders too. If you tell me, hey, I got $150 I want to spend, what can I get? We can do custom orders. We need to bring your live streams to 100 plus viewers again. Was it ever at 100 plus viewers? I think the only time it was ever at 100 plus viewers was when Joey came in at one point. Christopher says, if not, how would I maintain a neutral pH in my aquarium? I personally wouldn't even bother trying to maintain a neutral pH. I would allow the pH to go to where it is. As long as it's not like 8.6 or 5.0, you're good. A 7.2 or a 6.8 or a 7.6 or a 6.5 isn't going to affect it too much. You just don't want to be too extreme. But I would monitor it. Keep an eye on it and see how it goes. If it fluctuates too much, then I would think about adding in either crushed coral to buffer the pH if you wanted to raise it, or add in botanicals like leaf litter, driftwood, those kind of things to lower the pH. I've been working on planting an axolotl tank. I have sand for my substrate and have succeeded in growing Bacopa, Java fern, and Java moss to grow. Do you have any suggestions for plants which typically work well with those species rather than competing? Well, I mean, those are slower growing plants. Bacopa is slightly faster than the other two, but I would suggest getting similar plants. So like Anubis would be a good one. Wouldn't be competing because it's a slower growing plant. Bucephalandrid's good. Mosses, other types of mosses would work. What else? Moss balls. You could also do some slower growing stems. So Hygropeina fida is a good slower growing plant. It's a little bit more demanding, so maybe, actually, I would say stick away from that if you're just getting into plants. It's a little more tough. What else? Crips. Crips definitely. They're slower growers. They don't mind sand as long as the sand isn't compacting. You should be alright. Any experience with a pH controller? I have one. I have not actually hooked it up, but if I only had one aquarium, I definitely have a pH controller. What's up, Gabriel? How's it going? I want to show you my planted tank. How could I? You could always direct message me on Instagram or Facebook. Shoot me a picture of your tank if you'd like. I'm always happy to take a look. Any good ground plants that can grow in gravel with maybe root tabs? Yeah, most of them could. The plants I would suggest for that are probably dwarf sedge, pygmy chainsword, Monte Carlo, dwarf four-leaf clover. Those are all good carpeting plants. Dwarf sedge and chainsword actually are better because the thing is they don't. So like Monte Carlo kind of carpets out over the top of substrates, and dwarf clover sends out the horizontal rhizome and it looks for paths. The gravel may be a little too difficult for it to really get going. Same thing with the Monte Carlo, but dwarf sedge, because you plant a single rosette of it, it typically will do better. But definitely use root tabs if you are using gravel. Is corkscrew valve good for a 10-gallon? Yeah, corkscrew valves should be fine. My Vallisneria outer ends are getting brown. Any idea? I cut them with scissors, but yeah, it's kind of annoying. Well, I wouldn't cut them with scissors. What you don't want to do is cut the plant like grass. That actually damages the leaf, and that could be causing the browning. But you may have ruby red jungle valve, where the ends will typically get a reddish brown color. It's more red than not, so if it's getting like a really weird brown color, then it's probably not doing well, or not the ruby red corkscrew valve, or ruby red valve that I'm talking about. I had two tanks completely fail and broke them down. Just a high-tech 10-gallon going, plus good old goldfish tank. I'm going to be setting up a 45-gallon again soon, probably going to make a couple small orders. Nice. Well, Brad, we are doing free shipping over $30 now, so any order over $30, free shipping, boom, there you go. And shipping is only $5. So we figured out a way to kind of move things around and make it overall better for the customer. I am debating on one other change, possibly removing the rewards program. I'm not sure yet. I see a lot of people are doing it because of the increases in shipping costs this year. But for right now, I'm going to keep it around until I think about it more. At which year and age had you had your first tank? Well, that was only probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh.
So I was, what, 26? I'm 30 now, I think. Something like that. It's only a couple years. I mean, my first tank I had when I was like 13, but that didn't really count. I didn't know anything then. Now I would say I know a lot more. Thanks for the suggestions. I'll do some research on them. My primary issue is axolotls prefer little to no moving water and low light cold water conditions. Yeah, so Anubis can work. Anacris, hornwort. I forgot about cold water. Those are good ones. They can do cold water quite well. Should I place balls of clay in my dirted 40-gallon breeder? Low tech, low light plants with clay or with fluval LED light that has red, blues, and whites? If so, what type of clay can I use? So I wouldn't suggest adding the balls of clay in there. If you already have a dirted tank, just kind of leave it be. Do add fertilizer. If you don't have like a liquid fertilizer, get some. We sell our Vital formula. You can pick up other ones though. And also root tabs. Root tabs help a lot because even though it's dirt, eventually the dirt loses its energy. Think of a battery, right? As the plants grow, they're using all that energy that's inside the soil. Eventually it gets to zero. There is no more nutrients there in the soil for them to use. You have to replenish it. Sometimes your fish do that for you if you're feeding a lot, but you want to make sure it has all the available nutrients. Sometimes your fish waste does not produce everything. For those that are looking to aquascape or simply have a heavily planted tank, would you help your customers? For those, Christopher, hold on. For those of you that are looking to aquascape or simply have a heavily planted tank, would you help your customers with plants arrangements in their aquariums? Well, I mean, I'm always here to help answer questions, and if you have ideas or want to run stuff by me, that's fine. I don't like telling people what to do though, because I feel like your aquarium should be an expression of you. So you should, and here's the thing, like I can tell you all day long, place that plant there, place that plant there, place that plant there, but if it doesn't look good to you, you're the one that has to look at it. I'm only going to look at it once in the photo, and then, you're the one that has to deal with it. So I recommend doing what looks good to you, and even if it doesn't look good after you're done doing it, that's the beauty of it. You keep changing it until you figure it out. I mean, you just let it keep going until it grows in and looks nice. It's not an overnight thing. No aquarium looks good as soon as you plant it. Unless you have an unlimited supply of plants and get it all planted right off the bat and everything's filled in instantly. That's the only way it's going to look good. You got to let things fill in, let things work themselves out. But I can definitely recommend stuff. If you ever have a question, shoot me a picture. Be like, hey, I got this plant. Where do you think I should put it? I'll give you a suggestion, but that doesn't mean that it's going to look good to you. I'm from Europe, so I can't order them. That's all right. I don't know what you're referring to. Oh, the valve. You were asking about the valve. I don't know what you're referring to, but yeah, I would just not be cutting those. What carpeting plan for a 55-gallon with EcoComplete injected CO2 and Pinix 24/7? Dwarf sedge. These are my go-to. I'm sorry, I've repeated this like 5 times this live stream. Dwarf sedge, pygmy chainsword, Monte Carlo, dwarf 4-leaf clover. Is there another one? I'm missing one. I'm missing one. I can't remember. But those. My pygmy chainswords used to grow 1 to 2 inches tall. Now 2 years later, all offshoots grow 6 inches. Any way to get them to grow short again? Yeah. So when the plant starts shooting out huge leaves, this is the one thing you can do. You start trimming it really short. As you trim it short, it's going to tell that plant that no, that's not okay, and it's going to grow shorter, smaller, compact leaf growth. Now, when you do snip a plant, especially pygmy chainsword or dwarf sedge or val, and you snip it right across its leaves, you are damaging every single one of those leaves, so don't be surprised when they die back. Those leaves will eventually die because now you've damaged them. However, all the new leaves should be a lot smaller because you got to think about it with your grass. The more you mow your grass, the shorter and more spread out it gets. If anybody has a house, this is like rule number 1. When you have grass, you got to mow at least every week. And that will encourage it to grow more horizontal than vertical. And I mean, it's not every plant will do that, but most plants. It's like kind of just, if you want your plant to grow shorter, start snipping off taller leaves. With like swords and stuff, you don't want to just cut everything across, but you want to isolate, like, if you had a sword plant that was growing like nice and short, and like a bigger sword, not pygmy chain swords, because those are typically smaller, but like if you had like an Amazon sword, and you got like, say like 12-inch leaves, and all of a sudden it puts off a leaf that's 2 feet tall. Cut that 2-foot leaf tall back if you don't want it, and then the rest of the leaves should grow back how they were. The plant is kind of like, this is the best analogy, it's kind of like a toddler. Toddler wants to touch everything, wants to grab everything. It's not until you start telling it no it's like, oh, maybe I can't grab that, and then it keeps trying to do other things until you allow it to do something. Then that's when it's like, okay, yeah, I could do that. So it looks like we got about 5 more minutes here, guys. I love all the questions. Keep it coming. I'm going to answer the last couple here that we have. I can't read these. Okay, here we go. What is your favorite plant? Oh, that's Bucephalandrid all day long, but also variegated Anubis. I love that. I am variegated Bucephalandrid, which I have. I love it. What's up, Sunshine Aquatics? Right on. I'm glad to see you're still going. Thank you. Who cares what other people think? You have to look at it every day, don't they? Don't. Yeah, this is true. But everybody wants their aquarium to look nice. Like, I understand that. I always try to figure out oh, how should I do it? But the only way you learn how to make the tank look nice is by practice. That's the only way that that you figure out oh, this plant shouldn't be planted like this because it gets too big, or this plant is too small for back here, but let me move it forward, or maybe I need 5 more of those plants. So it's just a learning experience. Yeah, like anything, you have to learn. And as every iteration of the tank, at one point I posted a video, maybe a year or so ago, I posted a video on my first aquarium all the way up. It took me 1.5 years, 2 years to get it to something that I was actually proud to be yeah, that's my aquarium. It started off, it was 6 plants scattered out, didn't look anything good. Then I moved it, did some other things, changed it around, still didn't look good. Then eventually I got it, I figured out layouts, and I'm okay, now that is good. Now that I can gloat about this and be yo, look at my aquarium. And that's when I started posting pictures. That's when I started selling plants, and look at where we are now. So what schooling fish do you think look best in a planted aquarium? That really depends on the size of the tank, the type of scape. If you have a lot of green plants, get a red fish, or a fish that stands out. If you have a lot of red plants, don't get a red fish because they get washed out. You can't see them. But I do like little nano fish. I'm not partial to the bigger schooling fish, so I wouldn't do anything like Congo tetras, although those are amazing fish. I love them. But I would do those if I had a 600-gallon tank. I would do 2,000 Congo tetras. Sorry for the background noise. But I like the nano fish. So Ember tetras are really cool. Even neon tetras, a big school neon tetras, freaking nice. But I also like Celeste Peridanios. Those look really good. Awesome. We'll keep it simple without the clay for now. I'm going to use Seachem Flourish for all my plants. Love your channel. I've learned a lot and really appreciate you. Thank you, Zechariah. Appreciate the comments. I love hearing that. I'm glad that I can help. My dwarf sedge didn't follow that rule. I cut them and they grew even more. I now have a carpet full of dwarf sedge. Well, yeah, I mean, you just got to stay on top of it. It's not when you just cut it once, that doesn't mean that that's instantly going to tell it to grow short. It's every time you see it grow taller than you want, you've got to get back in there and cut it down. Keep hacking it. Eventually it's going to learn its lesson and stay short. Are all Apongitons super fast growing? Pretty much. Here's the thing. They have the bulb. As soon as you plant it, and usually we ship out, they have at least 2 to 3 leaves. Some more than that. If you look on our stories on Instagram from yesterday, me and Jake, we were cleaning up the tanks. I pulled out a giant Apongiton bovinianus. The thing had to be 2 feet tall, just massive. And it's just sitting there. They haven't really sold, so we've had them for maybe about a month, and we got them. They were maybe this big, and now they're 2 feet tall. So they grow really quickly. Because they're also perennial plants. Here's the thing. The reason why the plant has a bulb is because it's used to the area where it grows drying out. So what they do is they produce a lot of foliage really quickly. They're like lilies in a pond. They grow really quickly. They produce their flowers, pollinates out, creates new seeds. Those get spread, and then it all dies back to the bulb as the water recedes and it dries up, or gets too cold for them. So either one. They basically go dormant. So their life expectancy for that season is a lot shorter. So they don't grow. Typically, they won't grow all year round. So a lot of people, they think that their plant died. You just got to give it time. It usually comes back. If you really want to make sure it comes back, you got to actually remove it from the aquarium, stick it in a bag of sand, damp sand, and stick it in a cool place. Not like a refrigerator, but if you have a garage or a basement, somewhere where it just stays cool. Once you start noticing it die back, once it starts dying back, cut off the leaves, take it out of the aquarium, stick it in a bag with sand that's damp, cool place, leave it there for like 3 months, toss it back in the aquarium, and it'll usually sprout back. So, all right, last couple of questions here, and then I have to go. We're at our hour mark. So, okay, here's my question. Your website says more plants to come. Anything new and exciting? Not at the moment, just because all the like stuff that I want to get in, we really can't order until the spring. Like we have our suppliers that ship all year round, which is completely fine. But it's like I order stuff off hobbyists that have like a lot of something rare, and then I grow it to propagate it out to sell it out to you guys. With that said, though, once I get the algae under control in the 75, I have all those rare red plants that I have growing in there, and some green ones too. As I trim, those will be up for sale as well. So those actually aren't even mentioned in the more plants to come thing. Really liked your video on the Uruguay sword. I want to set up a 55-gallon with them. How many plants should I order? What other plants would complement it? Which filter and pump? So if you're doing a 55-gallon, if you're going to go with the swords, I definitely recommend kind of like almost an all-sword tank. You could do the Uruguayenses for the back, get some maybe Kleiner bars or red flame swords as accent plants because those are red, so they'll, you know, complement the green. And then you can also do like rosette swords as small swords in the front if you want. And maybe do like some sort of carpeting plant, maybe like pygmy chainsword, and then you have all swords of different shapes and sizes. So you can definitely do that. And being that it's a 55-gallon, 55 gallons are particularly hard, but the thing is, you gotta think tall and side to side versus front to back with them. So what I would do is I would kind of like take a tank design that you're looking forward at and almost slice it and then turn it. So you'd have like a lower ground on one side, and then kind of like do like almost like a hilly ridge all the way to the other side, and plant your plants accordingly. That's at least that's the way I like to do a 55. If I had to, I hate 55. So, all right. I also love Boost. I never had it, but sick. However, it's too expensive. It is. What is a good centerpiece fish for heavily planted 29? You could do Congo tetras in there. Do a 6 school of Congo tetras, maybe like 6 of them. I'm looking for North American plants. Can I buy these from H2O Plants? Yeah, we if you go on the website, you can actually click on aquarium plants. We'll go into the grow tab, click on aquarium. I have a hair in my mouth. Grow tab, go to aquarium plants. Just click on click on aquarium plants. And then there should be a sort thing there. You could click on North America, and it'll show you all the plants from North America. Boom, there you go. What else? Oh, that'll only show you all the plants in stock. If you go to the out-of-stock plants and you do that, you can do the same thing. Click North America. It'll show you all the plants that we have on the website that are North American. Doesn't mean we may get every single one of them in, but that'll be all of them there. Do Boost of Belandra thrive more in low or high pH? My Boost tends to melt away a lot. I would say if anything, those probably are a lower pH plant than a higher pH, but they're not really that hard. If they're melting back, that's probably because whoever you got them from, they probably were grown immersed, which is common, and we sell some immersed grown ones too. Some of them are submerged, it really depends. But what happens is that Boost was grown above the water, you submerge it, all the leaves are going to melt back. As long as that rhizome is firm, just leave it be. It'll grow back. The Boost that I put in the cube tank over there that's doing phenomenal, that's what happened with it. Most of the leaves started melting back. Once it got in the water, it grew all submerged leaves. It was pretty good. So, all right, guys, that's the hour right there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I do look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks. Keep an eye out for another video on Sunday, and I hope you guys all have a good rest of the week and good weekend, and Happy New Year.